I feel like using this prayer room has really increased the depth in my walk with Jesus, simply because it's a space where I come just to pray. You know, when I say pray, I do mean worship. So there is an intersection always between scripture and prayer for me. And also sometimes singing really loud and off key in this space. I can do that at home. It feels a little awkward because there might be other people around.
To have prayer covering is core and central to discipleship. That's what I see. So it's deepened my understanding of discipleship and the presence of God going hand in hand.
The time that I'm most often in the prayer room is early in the morning, and this has meant that in winter I would arrive in complete darkness, and then by the time I left the prayer room, complete daylight. And that change was so startling that just always made me think of how God graciously uses us and uses our prayers to effect transformation and to bring light.
Learning to listen in prayer has been a huge thing for my relationship with Jesus. So not just taking that list to him and asking him for those things, but to chat with him, but then wait and dwell in the silence and allow him to enter the space and give you words or just comfort you in those moments.
I feel like Jesus prayed in the temple and so there's a geographic nature to prayer. So I think it's made me think more about prayer, and by being intentional with prayer, I feel actually more able to be flexible and ready to pray in different moments. So something about having a structure and a space raises awareness around other places as well. So I've enjoyed that.
God gave me a word and just said, be intentional. You know, I had a family member, a young family member, and I had a friend who had also a young family member who knew one another, that were brought in Christian homes, were saved, baptised, and were starting to go off track. And we would talk about it and we would, pray about it, but I was in church and God said, you've got to get intentional here. You've got to really, and so we just committed to coming to the prayer room every day, praying, interceding, letting God lead us in prayer, praying for the things that were happening at that time. And over a matter of weeks, and we've just seen a great, huge turnaround. What seemed impossible situations and not being able to get through by talking, we were praying into that situation and seeing God totally change things and putting things into place and bringing people across their paths and shutting doors and opening others, and this whole turnaround in both their lives was just amazing to see.
Being here reminds me how important solitude with him is, and stepping into that space, how that just shapes daily habits, even coming out of the prayer room.
I think for me, Crossway refers to our prayer room as our boiler room a lot. It's going all the time, and it's what fuels the church, and it's the backbone of the church. Without the prayer room, the church stops. And I think for me, knowing that boiler room is always there and always going, it's not just on a Sunday after the service, it's all the time. There's always somewhere to go to pray, to be prayed for, to pray for others. I think is really reassuring and comforting.
I feel like this is much more getting a sense of where is God at work and joining him in that in my day to day, rather than just thinking, here's a good idea, seems to line up with principles, and it's a bit more getting a sense that God is really in this and feeling called into something.
Having a prayer room gives you that one-on-one time with your Father, and you present yourself, because I'd be in here, this particular room, and I'd be praying loud, and I'd be saying to God, said, you said this, right? You promised, because I come from a family that are non-believers, and I've prayed profusely for restoration in my family's life, and half my family now are Christians.
So using it regularly, this prayer room has impacted my walk with Jesus in the sense of growing in my dependency in him, and even recognizing that there's this prayer that I pray that talks about kind of keeping in step with Jesus and recognizing his pace for the day. Particularly at my 12 o'clock prayer time, I notice I may have run ahead. And so it's a wonderful opportunity to be like, oh, Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm coming back to be with you, to calm myself, refocus, recenter, and actually keep pace with him again. So it paces my relationship with him and my day by being in him.